I always say that client meetings in an informal setup of personal connect with the client goes a long way in building a relationship of trust. And when a client trusts you, you need to keep that trust intact.
Hello and welcome back to another engaging episode at the SuperLawyer YouTube channel. Today we are joined by Swati Dalal. Ma'am is an accomplished intellectual property professional with over 2 decades of expertise in trademark law. As a managing associate at RNA Technology and IP attorneys, she guides clients through every stage of trademark journey, from clearance and prosecution to enforcement portfolio management and cross-border strategy. Respected for her persuasive advocacy before the trademark registry, she is also a dedicated champion of IP awareness and a thought leader on emerging trademark trends shaping global landscape. Thank you for being with us today, ma'am. My name is Anshi and I work with the SuperLawyer team. At SuperLawyer, we showcase inspiring journeys of legal professionals offering valuable insights that greatly motivate and benefit our readers. I'd request Divya ma'am to now please continue with the conversation. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Swati ma'am, for being here. It's a pleasure. And let me start with the motivation and inspiration part and ask you about the very first entry in law field. Why did you decide to do that after having your political science career? Like you started with that graduation and you entered into law. And then you switched to intellectual property in law, which is also a very unusual field. Back then, I definitely can understand must have been a different journey. We would love to hear about your challenges, about your strategies, or maybe whatever you have done, why you have done that. I'm Divya Divedi and I'm your host for the day. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya and Anshi and the SuperLawyer team for hosting this session and inviting me to talk to my fellow mates in this IP fraternity and the young budding lawyers who aspire to enter the IP arena. So, when I did my graduation from Lady Shri Ram College in Political Science, my inclination towards law was a natural progression from the field that I had taken in my undergraduate years. And I was always fascinated by governance and theories of rights and justice. And I would like to read up on Karl Marx and different philosophers and their philosophies and how the societies would be governed and what kind of systems were in place. So, obviously, law was a natural progression out of all this. And I started my career with the law firm Vash Associates, which is based out of Haley Road. And initially, I was dealing with corporate law. I was introduced to the concept of labor law, foreign exchange management acts. I was doing contracts, agreements. And I did get a little exposure to trademarks because we were dealing for ITC hotels. Several applications were being filed at that time. And I found that quite fascinating. It was like creativity and law together. So, I mean, trademarks was something that fascinated me at that point in time. And I kind of like how brands would devise their strategy to actually launch a product. And of course, that time I was not very sensitive to what kind of prerequisites are there and how we need to actually take this forward. But yes, there was something that made me change my field from a corporate lawyer to a pure IP lawyer. And of course, my foundation at Vaish Associates helped me build my foundation in IP as well, because everything at the end of the day is complementary to each other. So yeah, and from Lady Shri Ram, the journey to Campus Law Center and my 3 years at Campus Law Center, Delhi University have been very interesting. I made very good connects. We are still in touch with few of our professors. And in fact, we've completed 25 years of our graduation from CLC. So we had a reunion very recently. It's been an interesting, fascinating journey so far.
So, when you started in your initial days of your career, matters related to FEMA and labor law, as you said, you were doing, and
Mhm.
the enforcement directorate as well.
Yes.
So, what made you decide on shifting towards trademark? You already have told us, but there must be some trigger or some reason that you must have decided to leave all that in your background and pick up IP. But that particular experience that you have had over the years with Enforcement Directorate and other aspects of labor law and FEMA in IP as well. So how did you find that particular connect, and how has that connection helped you in building up your career in IP and making that particular name in trademark?
So, like I said, I did get a brief exposure at Vesh towards trademarks, and I found that very fascinating because there was a lot of creativity in the sense that I came across different brands and I was quite fascinated. And I was like, I need to develop my skills in this area as well. And I was very fortunate to actually have cracked the interview at Remfry and Sagar, which is one of the premier tier one firms in IP. And the interesting part is that I had actually gone to Remfry and Sagar's interview for the corporate department, and they required someone in the trademarks team. And when I cleared my second round and when things were being finalized, I was like, okay, so when will I be joining the corporate team? And they were like, no, all this was for the trademarks team because we are looking for someone in trademarks. And I was like, okay, so yeah, which, because in Remfry, you have different teams working on different verticals in trademarks. And I was chosen for the contentious part, which was the disputes resolution team or the opposition team. So imagine someone who's just maybe barely filed few applications lands up in oppositions. But I would say that that was very interesting because I have done oppositions first and then come to prosecution. Usually people start from prosecution and then they go on to opposition. So mine was like a reverse journey. And there we advise clients on how to protect their rights, strategize on different aspects of brand protection, and in Remfry, my journey of interacting with associates outside in different jurisdictions also started because I was also taking care of the outbound filings. I was part of that team as well. So, yes, there was a lot of learning, new learning every day. So, with me, it was all by chance, it was never by choice. But yes, I do not regret the shift from a corporate setup to trademarks. I'm very happy with the work I do because it's challenging. In fact, today morning only, we've done a very interesting advisory for a client on adoption of different emblems, which are national symbols, and how they would be, whether it's commercially viable to adopt such symbols and logos, and what kind of sensitive issues one needs to keep in mind. So, yes, every day there is a new learning on every assignment that we do, whether it's a change in ownership, change in title, the strategy that the brands need to devise. I can go on and on, but yes, we can go on to the next question.
Ma'am, please go on and on. We would love to hear all those amazing stories that you have built over your career, which you did not choose, but you got it by chance. Because making a career out of something like this is absolutely a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Ma'am, moving with all this, now you are a managing associate at RNA. You
Yes,
are IP attorney. You are handling variety of prosecutions and
yes, yes.
variety of contentious matters as well. If you don't mind sharing, without taking any names, if you don't mind sharing some or the other cases which are inspiring enough or which are very different or new, like you said, every day is a new learning. So there must be something which may have come up, has been very, very different from absolutely out of the world
Yes.
thought process. Please do share.
Yes. Okay, so there is this petrochemical company, and we were, in fact, doing a lot of work for them in different countries like Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, and many other countries. And they had a very different, peculiar kind of situation in Bangladesh. One of their customers had actually posted things on LinkedIn and also threatened one of their employees based out in Bangladesh in their liaison office on account of barrels which contained lubricants which were not as per the customer based out of Bangladesh up to the standard that is to be maintained. So it was kind of a defamation which the client wanted to resolve, and they wanted to go after this person and take him to task. Not more because of the company's reputation at stake, but they valued their employee so much that he has been threatened. So they actually wanted to bring this person to task. So we were not very sure how we could tackle this situation in Bangladesh. Nevertheless, because as lawyers, we need to challenge ourselves every day. So we took up this matter, and of course, in liaising with our councils in Bangladesh, we were able to register an FIR against this person. We did write to him a warning letter, and it took us a good round of discussions and to and fro. And finally, after a period of 4 to 5 months, we were able to convince him to take down all the posts that he had posted on different social media websites, and also tender a written apology to the company. So the client was very happy, and they in fact sent us a congratulatory note saying that they were very happy with the kind of outcome that we were able to achieve for them. So it was not pure IP trademark work, but it was something different that you had to engage with the local lawyer, understand how, because it was not technically a pure defamation case, so as to say, but it was something that the client was not happy with this customer who was trying to not only extort money from the client on the pretext of bad quality lubricants being supplied to him, but also they were tarnishing the reputation of a very well reputed company. And more so, they had also threatened the employee based out locally in Bangladesh. So there were a lot of issues, and the company was very particular. So, yes, this is one of the cases when there are clients where we've had matters amicably resolved for them, where we've found parties who've been adopting similar marks, and we've filed opposition proceedings in Pakistan and in Bangladesh, and we've received favorable orders from the trademarks office, because the tribunal has held that the marks that have been applied for are infringing upon different clients from the footwear industry, from luxury brands. So yes, there are different stories. In fact, I can tell you that when I was working with Remfi and Sagar, we had this contested case on behalf of a leading watch manufacturer, and the matter was posted for hearing on final grounds, and it was basically on merits of the case. And I had traveled to Kolkata trademarks office in those days, and my opposite counsel kept trying to convince the examiner that we have a lot of evidence to show that I'm extensively using my mark in respect of leather products, which is definitely unrelated to class 14, which is jewelry and watches. But after almost an hour plus of arguments, the examiner only posed one question to the opposite side, that if you can explain the coinage of the mark to me, I will give this case to you. So, but of course, they were habitual offenders. They had just been adopting marks which are well known in a particular field, and then trying to club it with some generic word and pass off their goods in the market. So, yeah, that was another interesting case. So, there are plenty of cases that I could keep on and on. So, yeah, these are some on the top of my head. So, yeah.
I guess we'll have to have volumes of episodes for you to cover interesting cases, because you have been dealing with international trademarks also very, very extensively.
Yeah.
Now, you are dealing with multi-jurisdictional aspects. There are different challenges. Different kind of cultures have different impact and how you address the law over there. In FMCG, in pharma, automobiles, and what not you have done. In all of that, while you are interacting with these foreign councils, like you said, there are listeners over there with whom you interact. What kind of strategy has helped you, or the kind of way one should be discussing these, the kind of knowledge one should have, how the interaction should happen in between not only councils but in law as well, because you are dealing in different jurisdictions. So it will be very, very helpful for our learners as well.
Yeah. Besides cultural sensitivity and the local laws that are prevalent in each jurisdiction, I think the approach to a matter is universal, in the sense that all brands have to have a central strategy, which is number one, to protect your brand, and second is to enforce it. So, when you're adopting marks universally, it is always important to not adopt marks which are generic or descriptive, because though they look very fascinating at the first go and you are attracted to them, that you feel that, oh, this is a very nice mark that I've come up with, no one will adopt it. You have to be aware that such marks, they do not go through, whether it is India, whether it is the subcontinent or the US. The USPTO is very strict in terms of examining the identification of goods or services that you've applied for. And every jurisdiction has some specific filing requirements that need to be met. Maybe, like in Pakistan, you would require a notarized power of attorney. Maybe in a country like Singapore, you do not even need a POA to actually file the application. In Sri Lanka, you need a POA along with the articles and memorandum of association of the company or board resolution, which states that the person who's signing the power of attorney is actually authorized on behalf of the company. So, in a concept like a power of attorney in every jurisdiction, there would be different requirements which need to be met with. And of course, the brands, they have to be careful. That I would always tell my clients that it is always important to do a pre-filing clearance search. That is very important, because when you're launching, you spend so much kind of money on the marketing of a brand and the product launch. And if you face an objection, which is very serious in the form of an examination report or an opposition once your mark is accepted and advertised, then it gets very difficult to get the mark through. So it is always important to do a health check for your mark before launching it, and also see the goods and services gap. Let's say if I am into shoe manufacturing, but I have not protected my rights in the retail sector, and there is someone else who's taking advantage of my mark and misusing it in the retail sector, then I need to protect myself in that sector as well, right? So that tomorrow I can go after that person who is actually misusing my mark in that particular sector as well. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle which you need to put together, come to the drawing board, see which are your important territories, which are the important markets, which jurisdictions matter the most, what are the peculiar requirements that a particular jurisdiction has. Like in Philippines, there is a very important thing which most of the foreign applicants should know, is that you have to file a declaration of actual use every third, fifth year of your registration. And if you don't do that, your registration gets automatically cancelled. So, yes, it's not like once you've actually been granted rights on the register, that is not in perpetuity. You have to take active steps to monitor your marks, do a health check, strategize. And I would say that these things come out of discussions with your foreign counsels, because they are there, they are the ones who are actually dealing day in and day out with the registry officials in those particular offices. So they can guide us. And of course, there is a lot of material now available on different websites, different articles written by different people. The INTA also publishes various articles and papers which are helpful. A lot of research goes in maintaining and preparing those articles, blogs. So those also are helpful. But I would say, unless and until you have a hands-on experience, these things will come naturally only then. Because I may read up a lot of things, but as long as I've not practiced those or implemented or never faced those situations for a case, it is highly unlikely that someone will actually register all of that. But of course, there is a starting somewhere. You need to pick up something, read about it, and then maybe if you're lucky, you get to work on that matter. And I really consider myself very lucky, because besides India, I have dealt with jurisdictions, done different kind of cases, and I've been very fortunate to have very good connects with my associates in different countries.
Absolute fun to hear about health check for the marks for the company. It's absolutely important. And the way you had explained it, it makes sense that only by practice you'll understand exactly how one should work around trademarks, because obviously it is going to impact the companies as well. Ma'am, having that in mind, we would request you to give some thought in order to tell our learners, students, and law professionals as well that how should they move forward while they are developing their future or working on their future, whether it is in IP field, whether it is in any other field, corporate law or maybe criminal law, whatever. Because sometimes it is like when you start, you really don't know where to go, or sometimes you feel like we do not have the right mentor, we're not getting what we are putting in. So I'll request you to shed some light on that as well, because you also have gone through that phase where you may have needed a mentor, may have needed
Yes.
a little light. So we'll
Mm.
request you to share some thoughts for our learners as well.
My advice to anyone who's aspiring to be a lawyer or is currently in the law school, and like I always told my son, be curious, be eager to learn, never say no to anything new that comes your way, and stay hungry. Because the day you feel that I know it all is the day when you will just close yourself and not be aware of or be sensitive to what is happening around you. And you need to read a lot. As lawyers, we need to read a lot, keep ourselves updated because there is so much disruption happening. So you need to be in sync with what is happening. I am not saying that you need to know everything what is happening, but of course, things which are of interest to you, because you have to be an interesting person. By interesting, I don't mean that you need to show off by saying that, oh, this case and that case, and show off that you've read everything and come. But it should be a natural conversation where you can actually communicate to people, talk about topics which are of interest to people, and maybe contribute to a discussion, a meaningful contribution. And I think there's lots out for people to explore now. There are a lot of resources that people can use. I mean, when we were doing law, we used to only go to the library, maybe open some journals, some case laws, and read through those books. But youngsters today, they have a lot of other options. Internships are the stepping stone to their career, because there are some interns I have seen, they are so serious and they want to learn. Some just like to come and waste their time. They think that, oh, I just have to get a tick on my sheet and tell my college that yes, I've done an internship. But there have been interns who amaze me by the hard work they put in, by the hunger they show for picking on new tasks and volunteering to do something and contribute to a matter. And their research is very good to the point. I think one should just keep encouraging oneself. That is very important. You have to be self driven and self motivated. I can tell you, read this, read that, try and talk to so and whatever, but unless and until it comes from within you, it will not happen. Believe me.
Absolutely true, ma'am. It has to come from within. And the way you are saying you have to stay hungry, that's going to be a mantra for me as well now. Although I have always been interested in learning more and more. Ma'am, we are towards the very end of the conversation. I really would love to ask you about your understanding or your thought of when you are going through some complex issues or some complex cases. How do you keep yourself healthy mentally, physically, and how do you have that particular balance? I won't say balance, but how do you find that particular connect between personal and professional life and make sure that you are available everywhere, maybe if not 100%, at least 99%? Because most of the times people do say that we have found a balance, but I really don't feel that it has happened for anyone. But the way you said that you talk to your son about staying hungry, understanding, and always being ready to read, how have you managed to do that over these many years? Because you have just completed 25 years of doing your LLB and you have been practicing. How did you manage that? Mental health, physical health, and professional health?
Interesting. So there is no mantra, there is no formula for this. It just has to happen. You just have to set your priorities clear. You just have to always constantly tell yourself that, yes, I can do this. And one step at a time. I think you should not just try and put yourself in everything and just get so confused. Priorities should be clear. Of course, everything is important. You need to be there available for people at home. You, of course, have to lead a team, mentor people in your professional career. When you come to office, you have to take care of deadlines. And I mean, after 25 years, I think this is something which has come to me naturally. I have not made an effort. Of course, I would say there are days when I get stressed out too. I would have incidents where I would feel low, where I felt very happy when I've been able to achieve something, in the sense that I've been able to strategize and the client is very happy. So those words of appreciation really make your day. There would have been days where you're packed with deadlines and you have things to do at home also, but I've been lucky that I've been able to manage things well and keep going on with whatever I'm doing because I'm happy. I enjoy my work. And now that my son is grown up, he's a lawyer too. So I see every day that he does something and it makes me feel happy. In fact, I keep telling him that things which maybe in the early on years of my career, which I was not able to do, maybe I can guide him through my experience. That maybe taking on sessions, contributing on LinkedIn, meeting good people, and even mentoring maybe a junior, all these things will help you and take you a long way. So I always say that client meetings in an informal setup of personal connect with the client goes a long way in building a relationship of trust. And when a client trusts you, you need to keep that trust intact. That's very important. In any relationship, right now, since we are on a professional conversation, but even in your personal life, it is very important. Empathy is one thing which I always tell people to be empathetic. And of course, you need to put in the hard work. You need to be there for your clients. And whenever they walk out of the room with clarity in what they need to do in a matter, that is when you feel that yes, you have achieved something.
Wow, ma'am, definitely gaining trust is something which helps you in a very, very long term and long way as well. And it has been an enriching experience while you have discussed so much about trademarks and the way you have switched your career and build a name for yourself. It has been an immense pleasure, ma'am, to have this conversation with you. And SuperLawyer team is thankful that you were here and you gave us this much time. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, SuperLawyer team. Thank you, special mention Anshi. Thank you, Divya. Thank you so much. Thank you.